Joining us now is Jamal Jivanji, a political and cultural strategist, life coach, and author. Hi, Jamal. How are you today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's pretty good since you're an RFK supporter. How do you think Kennedy's endorsement of Trump will help the ex-president's campaign?
You know, I'm not so sure that it will. There's some potential that it could help the former President Trump. But I think what people should take, and at least this is true of myself, and I can speak for a lot of Robert Kennedy supporters, their vote should not be taken for granted. The candidates have to earn their vote. Folks were supporting Robert Kennedy not because of who he was or because he represents some party or brand, but because of his position on the issues. And so we're going to need to see the candidates address the real issues that are important to RFK supporters.
What do you think each candidate has to do in the next 70 days to convince independent voters to pick a side?
Well, I think for someone like myself and RFK supporters, I'm going to need the candidates to address really three things. Number one, we're going to need the former president, Vice President Harris, to address the real emergency that we're facing in this country, the chronic disease epidemic. The United States is one of the sickest countries, chronically ill countries in the world. And there are reasons for it, but we have to get to the root of it. And the government has been derelict in that, in their duties of protecting our food supply from toxins, protecting our water supply from toxins, protecting our soils. This is something Robert Kennedy was very passionate about. And both party candidates have literally apart from sound bites, they have not addressed this issue in any substantive way. We're going to need to see that from the candidate. That's one issue. The other two, the second is I'm going to need specifically President Trump to address his what I consider to be his mistakes in 2020 and in his even going back to 2016. He surrounded himself with folks who are big pharma, military industrial complex folks in his cabinet. And then 2020, he shut down the economy. Millions of small businesses shut down, and most of them have not reopened. There was no acknowledgement. That was just 4 years ago, and there has been no acknowledgement of the colossal mistake that has been. Robert Kennedy addresses this in substantive detail. I've only heard Donald Trump defend his actions, not acknowledge the mistakes, and certainly not talk about how he's going to avoid this in the future. And number three, we're going to need the candidates, both Harris and former President Trump, to address the civil liberties crisis that we're facing, the censorship, the shutting down of free speech, the shadow banning that's happening in the social media world is of grave concern to people who are passionate about freedom and freedom of speech and getting ideas out there. And Robert Kennedy was very passionate, and he had ideas about how to address this, not just sound bites. We're going to need the former president, Vice President Harris, to actually acknowledge that this is a problem and talk about solutions to this.
Yeah, so the last debate really hurt Joe Biden, obviously. Now you're going to have Trump versus Kamala Harris. Right. How do you think that debate is going to play out? Not to make it a popularity contest, but hopefully they stick to the issues. What do you think is going to happen when these two debate each other?
Well, I think when both President Trump and Vice President Harris debate, they will attack each other. They will talk about how the other person is bad and horrible and a threat to democracy and the future of our country. But unfortunately, what it's been between the two parties, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, is they won't address the issues without going after each other personally. And this is something Robert Kennedy was very passionate about. We have to address the issues in a respectful way. We can't make this about personalities and a popularity contest because that's a way to skirt over the issues and what you're actually going to do about it. Vice President Harris has no position on any of the issues. Her campaign website has zero position on any issues. And I think that they think they can get away with that because that's the way it's been. And Donald Trump speaks in sound bites himself. And this is something that Robert Kennedy has been very clear about. We need less personal attacks. We need mature conversation. We need folks to address substantive issues. And I don't know that they're capable of doing that.
Now, I know you have concerns about forever chemicals and microplastics, yes, which is very important. We report on this every week. But at the same time, inflation, credit card debt, people paying 30% on their credit card debt because they haven't been able to pay for it in a couple of years. What do you think the key issue is going to be to win the next election?
I think whichever candidate can speak to the concerns that people have, I think is probably going to win their votes. I think what's needed is to get to the systemic or root issues. Why have housing prices skyrocketed in the last 3 years, 4 years? Why is it harder for people to buy homes? We need to address major corporations that are buying up houses off the market, driving home prices up. Corporations like BlackRock, Donald Trump, and Vice President Harris. They won't even mention the name BlackRock, but this is an organization that has been buying up homes off the market, driving home prices up. This is just one issue. Robert Kennedy has been very explicit about what should be done about BlackRock and how to break up that monopoly so that home ownership can become something that the middle class is able to do again. And this really just went away in the last 3 or 4 years. Nobody's addressing the root issues.
Yeah. Well, Jamal, thanks for coming on. We have to have you come back as things progress, hopefully in a positive direction. And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Great. Take care.